Shakur Stevenson was a primary reason for Terence Crawford's win over Errol Spence. I'm not surprised by it. I mean, Shakur Stevenson is probably the best blue chip prospect and most promising prospect that we've seen in the last 5 to 10 years. The most hyped up, and rightfully so, prospect that we've ever seen. You know, Top Rank made, and they've been pushing him to be the next Floyd Mayweather. I personally think he has his own skills, and he's going to be the first Shakur Stevenson. But Terence Crawford was talking about Shakur Stevenson on the Porter Way podcast. If you guys haven't checked that out yet, make sure you guys go check out those guys. Those are my guys. Support them all the time. Subscribe to their channel as well. But it was just interesting. They talked about Terence Crawford's thought process going into the fight, even, you know, during the locker room talk before getting in the ring with Errol Spence. And Terence Crawford actually asked, you know, Shakur, what should I do in there? And Shakur just told Terence Crawford to box. And the reason why Terence Crawford was asking wasn't because he's insecure, not because he's nervous, but because Terence Crawford said that he prepares for so many different fights and he has different versions of himself, you know, in the ring. You know, he could come off as the counter puncher, he could be more aggressive, stand toe to toe. He could do a lot of things, you know, be defensive. He can do it all. We know that, but we had to see him against Errol Spence to really know that. And that's why he asked Shakur Stevenson, you know, how should I start out? And Shakur gave him good advice. He said, just box, go in there and box, be smart, do your thing, take your time with it, don't be overzealous, stuff along those lines. And I think that's great advice. You know, Shakur Stevenson, one of the best boxers, obviously cleaned out the 130-pound division, moved up to 135, and he's probably one of the top contenders there, wants the Lomachenko fight. Now we're hearing that Loma may retire. I don't know how true that stuff is, but Shakur Stevenson's the real deal. There's no doubt about it. There's him, Devin Haney, and Tank. I think those are the three guys at the top of the lightweight division and, you know, the junior welterweight division. So as Shakur Stevenson progresses, you also see his impact on other fighters like Terence Crawford. Even though Terence is older, they have that close relationship where, you know, Shakur learns from Terence and Terence learns from Shakur, and that's what makes it so special about their dynamic. Their relationship is so solid. They're like brothers. They call each other brothers because they're basically like family, and they make each other better fighters. They don't surround themselves with guys that, you know, are scrubs. They don't want to be in the ring, in the lab, working with guys who they know they can beat up, who they know they're better than. They challenge each other. They compete with each other. And Shakur Stevenson always gives Terence Crawford his flowers. You know, he said that when he beat Errol Spence, that it felt like Shakur won because, you know, it's like his brother. His success is the same as Shakur's success, and he was so happy to see Bud shut everybody up. He talked about how it was so quiet after Terence beat Errol because everyone was doubting Terence Crawford's ability to, you know, even compete with Errol Spence, and then he goes in there and stops Errol Spence in 9 rounds when realistically I think he could have gotten it done earlier. But it's just testament to how, you know, Shakur really saw it. Shakur even predicted it. He said, I'm going to take his jab away, and then, you know, he's going to be ordinary. And that's what Shakur was saying in the lead up to the fight. That's what Terence Crawford is saying after. And during the fight, it was apparent that, you know, Shakur was stating facts that once you take his jab away, which Bud was able to do, we thought that was going to be harder for Bud. But he was longer. He was longer. Every time he threw his jab out, he was also catching Errol's, and Errol's wasn't long enough. It wasn't snapping enough. It wasn't quick enough to reach Terence Crawford, and that was the difference in the fight. You know, that's what psychologically I think made, you know, Errol Spence get a little bit desperate. It's what caused the first knockdown, a lack of balance, a lack of discipline, getting too excited, committing too much to a punch, staying in the pocket for too long with a great counterpuncher like Terence Crawford. You're going to get caught with that combination. It was an awkward one. Where do we see, you know, a 2-1 combination where the guy throws the left hand, his strong hand first, and then leads up with the right hand jab, a stiff jab, and then drops Errol Spence? We don't see that kind of stuff. It's easy to think about, you know, when you look at it on film, but to do it inside the ring against a guy of Errol Spence's caliber is a different story, and Terence Crawford was able to do just that. We saw moments when, you know, Errol Spence Jr. was loading up on a left uppercut, but Terence Crawford caught him on the inside with a short right uppercut. And, you know, Terence Crawford, you don't see those things. When Errol Spence was loading up, you just think that Terence Crawford's going to try to protect himself, but no, he was willing to take that left shot because he knew, you know, Errol Spence's head would be right in range for that right uppercut. That's what he landed, and that's what caused Errol Spence to fall for another knockdown, you know, during the 7th round. It was a bad one. It was a consequential one, and we know that there's such things as flash knockdowns. I'd say the first knockdown was a little bit more flash, but that knockdown was the real deal. And this is just, you know, stuff that comes with IQ. It's easy to think about. Yeah, you counter guys like Errol Spence when they're getting excited, but this was one of, you know, the best pound for pound fighters that we've ever seen. He was on that pound for pound list, and he could still very well be on that pound for pound list, even though he took a beating from Terence Crawford. That just shows how good Terence Crawford is. That's not saying a knock on Errol Spence, saying that he's weak. He's not what we thought he was. It's just Terence Crawford's better than we thought. He's great, but he's better than we thought. And that's what he proved. And he talked about how, you know, he faced guys like Gamboa, how those guys were actually faster. They had more, you know, movement that confused Terence Crawford and then hit him with shots that he wasn't able to see. So let me know in the comments what you guys thought about Shakur Stevenson, you know, telling Terence Crawford to box you know, inside the locker room before his fight with Errol Spence, a dominant victory. But I think it was great advice from, you know, someone so high IQ'd and someone who's so talented within the sport in Shakur Stevenson, the future of boxing. But thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.
That's going to do it for another Naz Fight Media video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy, Matt Nabong, with another video. Hope you guys enjoyed it all. Thank you guys for the constant support. Salute to y'all always. It's been your boy.